The arrival of Europeans meant the end of the road for many Australians, and their deaths went largely unnoticed.
We know that Australia's had a terrible record of extinctions, but the presence of the animals was never recorded in the first place.
Our smallest mammals took a heavy hit, but many species still hang on in isolated pockets. Finding out where they once roamed has important benefits for us.
The whole value of biodiversity is that it generates a productive landscape. So when we have these clear lines of evidence that the animals were here, that we can then start to get them back into these areas.
But how do you look for what's missing when you never knew what was there? Luckily, the wise and sharp-sighted kept a careful record.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Today, we're on the hunt for an odd treasure. It's centuries old, it's found in caves, it's owl vomit.
This is the sort of thing that we're looking for. You can see it's quite dark up the top there. That's where the owls are coming into, sitting, and then when they vomit, down to the bottom it falls and accumulates at the bottom there.
So the owls are really doing all the hard work for you?
They are. It's 1,000 mammal trappers working for 1,000 days.
Owls don't have teeth and can't chew their food. Instead, they get rid of undigestibles like bones and hair by regurgitating them in a lumpy mass, known as an owl pellet. In caves, these pellets can remain intact for thousands of years. Miniature fossils ready for the taking.
It's very difficult for us to go into an area and find rare animals. You have to be really lucky, but the owls are really good at it. So they like a particular sort of cave, so even from a distance you can often identify those caves. You go in there and then you just start scraping around on the floor, basically. Once you find bones, then you start to get a bit more excited.
Owl pellets from caves at Wee Jasper reveal just how much diversity has been lost from the southeastern highlands near Canberra. Tiny jawbones, miniature skulls, whole skeletons of a variety of small mammals never known to exist here. Vertebrate taxonomist Dr. Ken Aplin is helping Fred to identify the bones and work out the original distributions of various species.
The process of decline of our fauna, loss of our mammal fauna, is ongoing. Can we be sure that these species which we think have disappeared in the past, whether they've gone completely or do they still hang on in small populations? Unless we know more about their original distributions, we don't really know where to look for them. And some of our cave samples have tens or hundreds of thousands of individuals represented. And we're fairly certain that we're getting the entire fauna from these sites.
People have looked at owl pellets before, but it wasn't until the introduction of all this modern technology that these ancient bones were dragged into the 21st century. In fact, this investigation of owl pellets is more technologically advanced than any other in the world. A CT scanner the size of a small printer brings out details of the bones in breathtaking clarity. DNA sequencing helps determine whether or not morphological differences represent different species. From the Wee Jasper owl deposits, 10 small mammals have been identified. To put that into perspective, only 2 of these species have previously been seen in this region.
That's the level of local extinction that we're talking about across most of southeastern Australia.
Part of our work has been to look further back in time and try to investigate the changes in the mammal fauna over periods of thousands of years. If we were here 12,000 years ago, we would be looking at species that have only been historically recorded from the arid zone, from the desert. But at the same time, we were finding remains of animals that today only live closer to the coast in wetter environments. So we're getting these strange combinations.
There's an incredible level of detail in these results. The big question is, what's it all for? Does anyone care about tiny mammals that have gone extinct locally?
we really have to start thinking about the fact that those animals have a really clear role in the ecosystem. The system functions because it has all these different components. Once we start removing that productivity within agricultural landscapes, the only way we can actually make that system out there or other places produce the foods we need is by pumping all these nutrients and other things into it. Without truffles and underground fungi established on rootstocks, things like eucalyptus trees can't establish. And the thing that moves those around the landscapes are these animals. The generational times for mammals to go extinct are very short, but trees live for hundreds of years. And we're not going to see that change for hundreds of years more potentially. So we really have to start thinking about redressing that balance now.
By reintroducing animals that have gone locally extinct, degraded systems may be encouraged to regenerate. But that means rebuilding whole communities.
We know from the experience of building fox and cat exclusion fences that if we take away that terrible impact of the introduced predators, many of the native species can survive and breed very abundantly, almost out of control. If we can get some successes, then we can start to restore this fantastic native fauna which we've largely lost and in danger of losing completely.